Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I share with you 4 DIY clay gift ideas that you can easily create at home in less than an hour. Whether the stuff you've bought for someone is not getting delivered in time, or you just want to add a little extra something to gift this year, these last minute Christmas projects are perfect for you. I would personally love to receive any of these as a gift or stocking stuffer. I've also included a bonus DIY in this video, so make sure to stay tuned till the end. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. For all the DIYs in this video, I'll be using these polymer clays, and I'll be sure to link them in the description box for you guys. Okay, so we're going to start with the easiest project, which is creating an embossed keychain. I grabbed some black polymer clay and started kneading it to make it nice and soft to work with. Then I rolled it out into a slab with my rolling pin. I used a round cookie cutter to cut the shape for the keychain out of the clay slab. If you don't have a cookie cutter, you can use a small cup or anything else that you have on hand to do so. You can also customize the shape to whatever you like it to be, and don't forget that you can always freehand it too. In the next step, I grabbed a small paintbrush and used the end of it to create the embossed letter on the clay. Now it's kind of hard to see it on camera since the clay is black, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing here. This is the part where you get to customize the keychain for the person you're planning to gift it to. You can emboss their initials, full name, or even their zodiac sign. Anything you can think of. You can also choose a clay color that the person likes so it doesn't have to be black. If you don't have that specific color, don't worry. After the clay is baked, you can go ahead and paint it with some good old acrylic paint. Anyways, once I was happy with how the embossed letter was looking, I moved on to creating a small hole at the top so the keychain piece can be attached to the clay after baking. You can buy a keychain set from Michael's or any other craft store for this part of the project. But I DIY'd mine using an earring piece and a jump ring from my earring making kit, only because I already had this in my craft stash. I also had an extra keychain ring sitting around, so it worked out just fine for what I needed. Then I baked the clay in the oven according to the instructions on the packaging for 15 minutes at 275 degrees. After 15 minutes, I took the clay out of the oven and set it aside for about 20 minutes to let it completely cool down. Then, to make the embossed letter pop more, I used a small brush and painted it with some silver acrylic paint. Again, don't forget to personalize the color. You can also leave it as is and skip the step altogether. In the last step, I used a tiny bit of super glue to secure the keychain piece inside the hole that I had created beforehand. I added the keychain ring, and that completed this first DIY clay gift idea. I think this keychain came out really cute, and I love that it's 100% customizable to match the person you're gifting it to. The second project is inspired by this mirror stand from Urban Outfitters that retails for $49. I knew that I could recreate this for a fraction of the price, not to mention this too can be personalized to make the perfect gift for someone in your life. I grabbed a good chunk of white polymer clay and started kneading it to make it soft. I repeated the same process with a smaller piece of black clay. Once ready, I rolled them both into cylinder shapes and then twisted them together to create a marble effect. I have another video where I explain this step in more details, and I'll leave a link in the description box if you want to check it out. In the next step, I formed the clay into a cuboid shape. I used my hands at first to get close to the general form, and then used the flat object, in this case a metal lid, to flatten all 6 sides of the piece. I made sure that it was pretty nice and symmetrical, as it is important for the overall stability of this mirror stand. I got this small mirror from IKEA a while back and thought it would be perfect to use in this project, but you can get a similar one from any craft store. You can also choose a different mirror shape, as it doesn't have to be a rectangle. Just make sure that the size of the mirror and the clay are relatively close, otherwise it will look off, and it will also probably topple over if the mirror is too big and heavy. Next, I gently push the mirror in the clay piece to create a ledge for it. I slightly leaned the mirror as I was pushing it in to make sure there's enough support to hold it in the end. I stopped at about halfway and the clay was ready to be baked. Since this was a much thicker clay piece, I had to bake it for about an hour and let it cool down for 45 minutes. Once the clay had completely cooled down, I put the mirror back inside, and that finished off the second DIY clay gift idea. But wait, I thought this can totally be used as a photo holder too, so it's really a 2-in-1 DIY project. I recommend you glue the mirror to the clay base though if you decide to gift it as a mirror stand, just to make sure it doesn't slip and break. This can be the perfect gift for anyone, depending on what you decide to gift it as. Oh, and I have to say it again, but make sure to personalize the colors to the person's taste. For the third project, I created abstract pattern earrings. I'm sure you know the drill by now, but in the first step, I kneaded the clay to make it easy to work with. Then, I rolled it out to about a 1/4-inch clay slab with my rolling pin. I decided to use green and red clay to create the abstract pattern. Later on, you'll see that I add some gold into the mix too. Like always, pick the colors that you think go best together for the earrings. Also, keep in mind that you can pick as little or as many different colors as you want, and it all just depends on what you're going for. Anyways, I started with the green polymer clay first, and I only needed a little bit of it for this project. After kneading it and making it soft, I created small balls with it. I then randomly placed them on the white clay slab. I repeated a similar process with the red clay, but this time I made small, almost square shapes instead. Once I had all the green and red pieces on the clay slab, I used the flat metal lid to push them in place. Then I used my rolling pin to really smooth everything out and make it look like one piece of clay. This is where I decided to add some gold clay on there too, just to make it a little more full and also more colorful. So I rolled out the gold clay into a thin cylinder shape and cut small pieces of it to go on the white slab. I placed these so that they would slightly overlap with the red and green to make the whole pattern look more connected and cohesive. Once again, I flattened everything into one clay slab. In the next step, I used different sized triangle cookie cutters to cut out the earrings out of this clay slab. I cut each one out in a way that it would have all 3 colors, And that's when I realized the smaller triangle cookie cutter wasn't really going to work for this project. I also made another discovery while cutting out these pieces, that the clay slab was a bit too thick. Now this will vary depending on the type of earring you decide to make. So the ones I was trying to create were drop earrings, and in order to feed a jump ring through a hole in the clay has to be thin enough, if that makes sense. Otherwise the jump ring won't fit or close. Now if you decide to create stud earrings, then you can skip this step, but learn from my mistake and roll your clay slab to about 1/6 or 1/8 of an inch before starting to cut your shapes out. After some trial and error, I finally got the perfect cuts for the earrings out of the clay slab. I used a toothpick to create a small hole on one side of each of the triangle pieces. I then baked these in the oven for about 10 minutes at 275 degrees and then let them cool for about 15 minutes afterwards. Lastly, I just assembled these using a jump ring and a shepherd hook per earring. I also chose to go with gold to tie in all the colors together. But that's really all there is to this third DIY clay gift idea. I think these earrings are so adorable and they can be customized to make the perfect gift for the recipient. I personally love earrings, and if you have anyone like me in your life, I promise they will love these, especially because of the effort you put into making them. This project was kind of impromptu and essentially born out of the last DIY. After I made the earrings, I still had some of the clay slab left, and it wasn't really good for making more earrings. I also thought to myself, I'm probably never going to use this again, especially with the colors that I had mixed in. And that's how I decided to make some coasters. So I started by rolling the clay into a cylinder shape and basically creating a marble effect by twisting it around itself. I also added the leftover gold clay that I had into the mix because I mean, why not? Now I realized a little late that this wasn't actually going to be enough for making 4 coasters, so I went back and added more white clay and repeated the process. At this point, I had twisted the clay one too many times, and as you can see, it kind of lost this pretty marbling effect. So again, learn from my mistake and don't overmix the colors, otherwise they'll just start blending together to create a new solid color. Anyways, I still went with it because I didn't want to waste all that clay, plus I kind of like the new mauve color with some gold and green veining in it. In the next step, I rolled out the clay into about a 1/4 inch slab with my rolling pin. Then I used the star-shaped cookie cutter that I actually got from IKEA to cut out the coasters out of the clay. I was able to cut 2 in the first round, and then I repeated it all over again to get 2 more out of this clay. And yep, I baked them in the oven like all the other projects, then let them cool for about 30 minutes. Finally, I used a 220 grit sandpaper to slightly smooth some of the rough edges, and that's it for this last DIY clay gift idea. I think these coasters came out really cool, and it was the perfect way to use the leftover clay. Now obviously you don't have to have leftover clay to create this project, and you can just start from scratch. But I just wanted to share another gift idea with you guys. Coasters are a great gift to give to anyone, or even as a gift to a whole family. Alright you guys, it's time for the 2-minute bonus gift DIY, and if you've made it this far into the video, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Okay, so this project is very similar to the one I did in my boho trendy Christmas DIY video, but with a twist. So I got this big clear ornament from the Dollar Tree that's the perfect size for this gift idea. They do sell a smaller version that comes in a pack of 2, so make sure to get the larger one if you decide to recreate this project. I started by popping the top off, and just like in my last video, I cut small pieces of faux leaves of flowers to fit in this ornament. Then I inserted a Polaroid picture of me and my friend in the ornament, and that's why it's important to have the bigger size. You can also just get a picture printed to size, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a Polaroid. Anyways, I added a few more faux flowers, but made sure to not overly fill the ornament so the picture is still visible. I put the top back on and attached a piece of twine for hanging it. And I don't know what else you're waiting for, but that's it for this bonus gift DIY idea. I think it's so cute, and you can customize it by using any picture and any filling that you want. Anyone who receives this as a gift or stocking stuffer would love it because it's personalized and has a sentimental value to it. By the way, I'm keeping this one for me. Alright you guys, so that's it for these last minute DIY gift ideas. Let me know in the comments below which one of these you would love to receive. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!